Hot indeed in every corner on every lap. Take a look at Scott Russell, Jonesboro, Georgia, 70 miles per hour, out in front in his event, steps off, step back on, and continued to victory. That's the kind of competition
this mile and a half here at Miami for these Superbike riders. And we're set for a start, David.
Onboard camera will give us a great look at the launch. Can green and go.
Wave of 20 riders away. Good start. Second wave of 20 riders about to come off the line. And we have a rider down. And 7 other riders crashing here at turn 1.
Wes Cooley started it, I believe. Cooley was the man sliding across the racetrack. Everybody else went diving into the middle of the mess. They will have to restart it, Ken.
Red flag is out. Wes Cooley has crashed severely here at turn 1, and at least 5 other riders are involved. Let's look again at what happened here in the second wave.
Cooley already on the ground at this point and no indication of how it started, but watch the guys behind him with nowhere to go. They all aim right, looking for the hay bales, looking for an escape route to avoid running over Cooley. They were trying to miss the fallen rider. Here's Rick Herndon walking away from it. The other guys involved. Larry Gruen was in it. Bruce Neal got involved. Kevin Blaze motorcycle bounced off the bales. Just a big pileup for all those riders who were at the back. Here you see it again. Cooley has fallen at this point. He collided with the number 78 of Mark Foster. Foster goes on. Cooley slides across the road, and then here comes all that traffic from the back of that wave, and by the time they get there, the road is blocked, and they just dive into the bales.
Some heroic avoidance activity by many of those riders right into the impact area to miss the fallen Wes Cooley.
I saw Kevin Blaze get up. I didn't see anybody but Cooley take a real hard shot there, Ken. I think the rest of these guys are preliminary okay. Indication on Wes Cooley, broken collarbone, couple of broken ribs. They'll take him in and check him over. The camera, damage is terminal.
That's heartbreaking news for the 2-time Superbike champion, David.
Coming back after a bad injury in 1985, Cooley was getting his momentum back.
Carrying one of our onboard cameras today as well. The other camera rides with John Ashmead. Will be in row number 2. Front of the field just about set again. It will be a 2-wave start. Another time in the Superbike Grand Prix.
And Mike made a key point about the pit stop. They now have full tanks of fuel. This will be, with luck, a green flag race all the way.
The 2 marker is on the field. Going to 1 very quickly here. 38 riders remain. It's over and they're gone. First wave is away. Second wave is away. Here's where there was almost a problem here as the number 11 bike got ridden out, able to continue on.
Yeah, it was tight through there, but they made it through. The Kawasaki's jump out front. Not a big surprise. Here you see the tail end of the first wave and then the beginning of the second wave. The separation for safety purposes to separate the guys at the front. Here are the Kawasaki's up front. They're the guys to beat today. Yeah.
Doug Chandler and Scott Russell setting the early pace as the field is away on this 1.5 mile, 11-turn course.
Key here is to not get over anxious on the first lap. There are only 2 right-hand turns on this racetrack. You've got to get the tires up to temperature. So for the first lap, you've really got to kind of feel your way and not get impatient. Out front, we've got 2 Kawasaki's, then the 2 Yamahas, and then the Honda, and that should be the story of the race.
Doug Chandler in the lead, looking for his 3rd straight victory of the season. He was victorious at Loudon, New Hampshire, and then at Elkhart Lake, and here he is in front over his teammate, Scott Russell. They were both heat winners.
First time down Biscayne Boulevard, up to about 135 miles an hour, and then hard on the brakes, peel it off to the left, coming back toward start-finish to complete lap 1. That's the hardest braking area of the racetrack, and here's one of the toughest acceleration points.
And you see running in 3rd and 4th, the Yamahas of Thomas Stevens and Dave Sadowski, with Randy Renfro's Honda maintaining 5th.
Renfro very much part of the championship picture. He is 2nd in the points behind this man, number 10. Doug Chandler is your point leader. There is Renfro, number 5. So the championship battle is right up there in the heat of that first 5. And right behind them, we get glimpses of the number 1 bike, the defending series champion. That is Jamie James.
That Ducati bike, the only fuel-injected rig. The European bikes come here. The Ducati with fuel injection and with a weight advantage. They're at 320 on those twins as opposed to the 4 cylinders of 370-pound bikes.
Looks like this will shape up as an early battle as number 5 Renfro moves up and tries to put some moves on Sadowski. Thomas Stevens has his Yamaha right on the rear wheel of those 2 Kawasaki's. There's an outside move, but not really a move. Sadowski slipping wide and letting Renfro come underneath, and that will change 4th and 5th spot. Renfro's Honda now the 4th place man.
And Sadowski dropping to 5th as they go through this double chicane. The end of MacArthur Drive leading on to Biscayne Boulevard, fastest part of the course. How fast here, David?
130, 135, a little slower when they moved the chicane up into the juncture there of MacArthur and Biscayne. That tended to reduce the top speed, but it made that entrance much safer. Chandler's key is being smooth. He has been very, very smooth from the start here, from the very first practice session, and he is continuing that. Here's your Daytona 200 winner, Sadowski, as he runs in 5th. Chandler trying to open it up front.
Sadowski, the number 25. The 5 is Renfro. And Renfro has had a very good season thus far, as David was saying. 2nd in the standings currently to Doug Chandler. He had a 2nd at Daytona. Came up with that 5th at Loudon, 2nd at Elkhart Lake. And he's really working out here.
It's a beautiful, beautiful picture to see these guys dragging the knees through the corners. 10 years ago, that was such a revolutionary deal, a new technique that Kenny Roberts had developed. Now everybody gets out there and does it. It's just fascinating to watch the body English that gets you around the racetrack.
Tell us about that body English as we watch them here in this very tight portion of the course in Bicentennial Park.
By hanging off the motorcycle and dragging your knee like Dale Quarterly was doing there, you're able to actually hold the bike more upright, Ken. You lean out and keep the bike more upright underneath you. That enables you to use more of the tire. If you have to lean the motorcycle over that much, then you run the risk of losing traction.
Here you see the number 11, Thomas Stevens, closing up. Stevens on the Yamaha, closing on Scott Russell's Kawasaki. And this is a manufacturer's battle as much as it is a rider battle.
Very much so, with 4 Japanese makers and the Italian Ducatis involved. Not full-blown factory teams, not official factory teams, but in fact independent teams with varying degrees of factory support. Here's where you'll get the sense of speed. We're riding with John Ashmead, and look at the pictures.
At Kawasaki of John Ashmead, currently being shown back in the 11th position in the field. He started on the 2nd row.
Yeah, Ashmead did not get a great start. Here he is from our cameras watching him, and here we see what he sees. See the change in the track surface there? That's that pavement we talked about at the top of the show, and you'll see those transitions all around this racetrack. The asphalt itself is slippery, but that pavement, that concrete that they've laid down right there, you see it, it is just like glass. It is very, very slick out there.
So do you back out of it? Do you use less throttle?
Well, yeah, you do. You have to be more careful, and you have to be more gentle, more delicate in particularly the use of the throttle. You come back onto the throttle at the exit of the corner right there. You've got to do it very, very judiciously. There's not much traction out there. Typically, on a hot day like this, tire wear is a concern. In this case, not at all. As they flick through the chicane there, the tires are not wearing at all because there's simply not enough grip.
Watch his speed here now as he handles Biscayne Boulevard, fastest part of the course. You can see him getting up through the gears into 5th.
That up and down bob is when he shifted gears, and then the dive when he gets on the brakes hard.
Turn 10, turn 11 coming right by us now. John Ashmead, currently 11th overall in the field here in the Miami Grand Prix with these incredible pictures.
Hard right-hand heel there for Ashmead, former Daytona 200 winner. Got some catching up to do today. He's racing with Jacques Gannett for 10th spot.
Meanwhile, up in front, it's still 24-year-old Doug Chandler riding for the veteran tuner Rob Muzzy, drawing away from the field. And we'll be back with more of the Miami Grand Prix. 13 of 40 laps complete. Doug Chandler out in front. Japanese bikes in the front 3 positions. The Italian Ducati with Jamie James in 4th. Taking a look further back, Rick Kirk up to 6th, Quarterly in 7th. And a little action out here in the Bay as well as on the racetrack in Miami this afternoon. We got a report there's a rider down. Jamie James, defending national champion on the Ducati. He was in 4th, is out of it at turn 8. Jamie James down. That's a bad break for Ducati, Dave.
Good to see him on his feet, climbing over the bales, holding his chest. Looked like he took a pretty good shot, but apparently not badly injured.
Raging Cajun from Louisiana out of it, and here's the man out in front. Doug Chandler drawing away from the field. Let's get an interval here. give you an idea of how these bikes are situated in the top position. There you see Chandler out in front, coming down Biscayne Boulevard. Here is your second place rider.
I guess on Biscayne Boulevard, we call it a couple of city blocks back to Thomas Stevens, and then the number 22 of Scott Russell, currently third.
Round 10, right by turn 11 and by us, cross to the start-finish line as Chandler continues out in front and dominates this event. Question is, will he become the next Freddie Spencer? He has not finished out of the top 3 in the first 4 races of the season. Here you see him, Chandler, the 24-year-old.
This is Rick Kirk. Rick is running 5th today. This man has very, very little Superbike experience, and he is turning in a superb ride. He's the new member of the Yoshimura team. They've been racked with injuries, and Kirk had a spectacular ride in the heat race, is now very much in contention. Young man from Oklahoma who actually started his career as a motocrosser and then decided he'd give road racing a try. He's only been doing it a couple of years, and this is only his 2nd or 3rd ride on a Superbike. So he is turning in an excellent performance here today. Star of the future.
Showing a lot of style there as he really got the knee down.
Well, when you slide that rear wheel like that, Ken, it looks spectacular, it feels spectacular, but indeed it is becoming a new technique for steering the bike. Again, we refer back to Kenny Roberts, who began to develop it. We talk about the fact that the Americans do it so well. When you get on the throttle and actually skid the rear wheel around a little bit, it enables the bike to corner more sharply. You'll see Chandler do it perhaps less here than we've seen some of the other guys do it. Chandler's very smooth here. He's not sliding that thing big time off the corner. Just a little bit of a skid to make sure that you've got the maximum amount of throttle on, and also to help actually turn the front end back up the racetrack. Dirt track racers do it all the time. There was a time when it was inconceivable to slide a motorcycle road racer. If you slid on the pavement, you were going to crash, but now it's de rigueur. Everybody does it.
Thank Kenny Roberts for that.
Absolutely, yeah. He developed the technique, and everybody else has built on it, and following in his footsteps, of course, were the likes of Freddie Spencer, who's here today, back in the pack, but took that technique one step further.
Well, in the same way that Kenny Roberts led the professionals to new heights in popularity in the early 80s, motorcycling has gained new popularity with some famous people that may start the Miami Grand Prix. John Hopperstad's in a pickle with his motorcycle. Mechanical problems putting him out.
Ken, I think that's the only thing at this point. He says, I don't know what happened. Thing just broke. I think that's the only thing that could stop Doug Chandler here today as we pick up the action again with the leader. He is so dominant over this field. If that motorcycle stays in one piece, I don't think anybody's going to see him.
And we'll be back with the Miami Grand Prix and these great motorcycles after this message and a word from your local station. At halfway, we've had one serious crash that brought out a red flag. Wes Cooley was injured there. Doug Chandler has led the entire race thus far. And right now, the story continues to be the heat. 130-degree track temperature, and Mike Joy can tell us more about it.
Theo Robinson is getting a cool down here in pit lane. Don't get up. Are you okay?
I'm okay now. From about the 9th lap, I had cramp in my shoulders. I've been told about drinking water all day, and I've tried to do it, and taking salt tablets, and I was just finished from lap 9. I shouldn't, you know, like, I just couldn't hang on to the bike anymore. I was getting the lads' way. Should I, you know, like, I need to get fit in a hurry. I think I'm not used to the heat. I'm from England. This is too hot for me.
Coal miner couldn't stand up to it today. Doug Chandler staying first as we take a look at the standings with 26 of 40 complete. Stevens in second, the number 11 rider, and here you see him, and there's the 22, and that's the battle that's being, the position that's being contested right now out here. Thomas Stevens and Scott Russell on the 22 bike, the Kawasaki.
And that's tightening up, Ken. Stevens is under some pressure here from Scott Russell. He had drawn away to a pretty healthy interval, but now it's tightened down to bike lengths, and I think that it's Russell going faster. I don't think Stevens is slowing down. The interval up here to the leader, Doug Chandler, is holding about the same.
Cape Coral, Florida rider Stevens, and here you see Chandler with the advantage and continuing to just wear down the field. He looks like he's in great shape physically, and the bike, well, it's a Muzzy bike. Of course, he's had a lot of championships as a tuner.
He's in control of the pace of the race now. He's getting his pit signals. Here's Chandler coming down into the left-hander. He'll be getting that signal after he makes the next corner to tell him his lap time. Whoa, Stevens is off the racetrack.
Thomas Stevens, 5th in points, had a real chance to gain. He's in big trouble here.
Kenny didn't crash. There's no damage to the bike. I think he overshot the corner, went off the road. The engine's dead.
And he wants somebody to assist. You can see him motioning back for one of the corner workers to give him some assistance and try to get back in this event.
He needs a restart. Question is, will the bike fire? The concern the corner worker has is the oncoming traffic. If somebody else skids out through there, they both get T-boned.
The Terry Vance, Brian Hines, Yamaha, they're trying to get it refired, get him back in this event. It's been a great run thus far for Thomas Stevens, who set on the pole at Daytona earlier this year.
Still hasn't fired. The problem is the corner worker's not got his heart in pushing it there. He finally got it lit off, and he'll get back into the race, and I believe still in the top 10.
But nearly a lap behind, David, falling from 2nd to 7th, number 11. And appropriating first place, it'll be number 22, Scott Russell, the Jonesboro, Georgia rider, 25 years old. He's already had 1 second place this year at Loudon, New Hampshire, working on a second here in the Miami Motorcycle Grand Prix. More in a moment. You see Dale Quarterly, the 5th place rider, and currently the leading true independent in this race, Dave.
Ken, this could get really interesting. Watch Randy Renfro, number 5. Then comes Rick Kirk, the 89 bike, and then Quarterly, number 32. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot. That's getting... Oh, Quarterly's off the motorcycle.
Quarterly has the bike go out from underneath him. The Rockland, Massachusetts rider down. He's getting back to his feet.
Look at that black strip down the middle of the racetrack. I can't help but wonder if that's oil, and if it is oil, was it a factor in the crash? Let's watch the wheels, see which one goes first. Quarterly in the left-hander, heeled over hard. Oh, no, he washed out the front end. May or may not have been an oily racetrack condition, but he definitely washed the front and crashes away 5th spot.
Quarterly lays down his Honda. That drops him back. Here you see Renfro still on the attack. Had a great early start and has fallen back some.
He's still under pressure from number 89, Rick Kirk, who's just having a magnificent ride here today. He is 4th, and he's working on the 2nd-ranked rider in the series, and this is a man with very little Superbike experience. Sadowski will now inherit 5th spot as he works his way through the chicane.
Dave Sadowski, number 25, the winner at the Daytona track this year, first event of the season.
That, of course, is the biggie, the one everybody wants to win. The season opens with the biggest race of the year, sort of like in stock car racing, and Sadowski won the 49th running. Here's Tom Stevens, number 11, his teammate, about to be lapped by Doug Chandler. Chandler dives underneath. That was a potential battle for 1st and 2nd. Now Chandler has put him a lap down, and that means that Doug has lapped up through 7th place. But Ken, we've got a report of a potential problem here. Apparently the radios have gone out on the circuit. The safety workers don't have radio communication. They're going to stop this race.
Red flag is coming out. First time we've ever seen anything like this, Dave. There is a communications breakdown to all these corner workers on the 11 turns around this 1.5-mile circuit. 31 laps complete. Here you see Chandler, the leader, and he's motioning for a back marker to swing on by.
Don't know what that's all about, Ken. He obviously wants Larry Schwartzback, number 14, in front of him for whatever reason. Tom Stevens now a lap down is right behind him. They have not yet taken the red flag as they come down the start-finish line, toward the start-finish line. They will get that red flag. Now he goes back around Schwartzback. I'm not sure what that was about. Red flag awaits him around the next corner.
And that will bring this race to a halt for the 2nd time. In the first lap, we had a red flag after a serious crash in turn 1 that injured Wes Cooley. Red flag is out. And the indication here is Chandler is waving to the crowd. He thinks he's won this race.
I think Chandler believes, or Chandler certainly hopes, that this race will not restart. And if that's the case, he's the winner. I'm not sure that might not be a premature conclusion.
Now, the story is if you're half the distance, it's an official race. But I would think with this many laps to go that you might be going back to a green flag situation, David.
It's the officials' call. Yes, half the race constitutes a full event. In the event they can't restart, but they do have the option of restarting the race and trying to run it the full distance. Chandler's happy. He's popping wheelies. He says, hey, I won this thing. I've got 3 in a row. I think we better wait for an official call to see if that is actually the case.
Giving every indication that he has ridden to another championship win of the 1990 season. His 3rd straight, and he's going right to the pit area. and believes he's going right to victory lane, David.
He's ready to start the party, absolutely. And I think Ken well-deserved, a well-deserved feeling on his part. He knows he would out-whip those guys. We're just waiting.